And the Sigma male detaches. It's not weakness, it's evolution. The world often mistakes his silence for indifference, his distance for arrogance, and his calm for coldness. But the truth is, detachment is the moment the Sigma stops surviving and starts mastering. It's when he stops pouring energy into people who don't respect it, when he stops chasing validation, and when he finally reclaims every ounce of power he gave away trying to be understood. His detachment isn't emotional shutdown, it's recalibration. He no longer reacts, he observes. He no longer explains, he decides. He starts seeing the world as it is, not as he wished it to be. The noise fades, the distractions fall away, and what remains is something rare. A man who no longer needs to be seen to feel powerful. Because the Sigma doesn't disappear to escape, he disappears to rebuild. And when he returns, he's sharper, calmer, and far more dangerous than before. This video will reveal what truly happens when a Sigma male detaches, how he evolves from emotional chaos to calculated calm, from attachment to alignment, from being drained to becoming unstoppable. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Ultrawise, the brotherhood of Sigma minds who rise in silence and move with precision. And if you've ever reached that point where peace mattered more than connection, comment Evolved Sigma below, because this is the chapter where detachment becomes transformation. The Sigma male detaches when he realizes emotional chaos is stealing his focus. Every Sigma male reaches a moment when he stops trying to balance emotion with ambition, and that moment is his awakening. For too long, he's tolerated noise disguised as connection, people pulling on his energy, drama disguised as depth, chaos disguised as love. He tried to carry it all, believing that empathy meant endurance. But then it hits him. Every argument, every distraction, every unnecessary attachment is costing him something priceless. Focus. And when a Sigma male loses focus, he loses himself. Here, that realization changes everything. He begins to see how much of his mental bandwidth was spent managing emotions that didn't belong to him. He sees how overthinking people's motives blurred his vision. That's when detachment begins. Not out of apathy, but out of survival. He doesn't announce it, he simply withdraws, redirecting his attention back to his purpose. What used to drain him now fuels him. Every silence becomes strategy. Every ignored message becomes a boundary. He's no longer reactive, he's intentional. People around him notice the shift. The once accessible man now feels unreachable. The one who used to explain himself now gives nothing but calm indifference. His detachment isn't anger, it's recalibration. It's his way of reclaiming his mental real estate from emotional clutter. He stops trying to fix others and starts refining himself. The world reads it as coldness, but it's actually clarity. The realization that focus and chaos cannot coexist. In solitude, his power multiplies. His discipline tightens. His goals sharpen. And for the first time in a long time, his energy belongs to him again. He becomes quieter, but his silence carries weight. He becomes distant, but his presence feels stronger than ever. Because when a Sigma male finally detaches, it's not escape, it's transformation. He understands that peace isn't found through control of others, but through control of himself. Emotional chaos once blurred his vision. Now it fuels his discipline. And once he chooses focus over noise, nothing and no one can distract him again. His silence becomes a strategy. Observation replaces reaction. When the Sigma male detaches, the first thing that changes is his relationship with silence. What used to be a pause now becomes a weapon, a deliberate act of control. He no longer reacts to words that provoke, to behavior that tests him, or to chaos that demands a response. Instead, He studies. His silence becomes the space where he gathers information, dissects intentions, and sharpens his understanding of human nature. Every moment he chooses not to respond is a calculated move, a withdrawal of energy that starves manipulation of its power. Before, his instinct was to explain, to clarify, to defend. Now, he watches. His silence unsettles people because it forces them to face themselves. The loud ones, the dramatic ones, the insecure ones, they all start to crumble when met with stillness. The Sigma knows this. He knows that noise exposes weakness, but silence reveals truth. So, he waits. He observes tone, timing, patterns, inconsistency, while others speak just to be heard. He listens to everything they're not saying. His quiet becomes a mirror, reflecting people's real motives back at them. This kind of silence isn't passive, it's power disguised as calm. It's the Sigma's way of conserving energy for what actually matters. Every reaction he withholds strengthens his control. Every moment of restraint builds his dominance. He's not ignoring the world, he's studying it, preparing to move with precision. The same silence that once made him misunderstood now makes him unreadable. No one knows what he's thinking, what he's planning, or how he feels. And that mystery unsettles even the confident. With time, his silence becomes his language. It says, "I've seen enough." It speaks louder than confrontation ever could. People begin to realize that his lack of reaction doesn't mean weakness. It means he's already decided how this ends. He no longer needs to prove a point or win an argument. The victory is in his restraint. Because the Sigma male understands something most never will. Reacting gives power away, but observing takes it back. His silence isn't emptiness. It's strategy. It's how he stays 10 steps ahead in a world addicted to noise. And when observation replaces reaction, the Sigma stops playing the game and starts mastering it. Detachment allows him to see who's real and who was feeding off his energy. When the Sigma male steps back from the noise, the truth starts to reveal itself. Quietly, but unmistakably. Distance has a way of showing what connection never could. The moment he stops giving constant energy, the masks around him begin to slip. The ones who were drawn to his strength suddenly lose interest when they can no longer benefit from it. The ones who stayed only for the comfort of his presence start to disappear. And the ones who were real, the few who valued him for who he is, not what he provides, remain steady, unbothered, consistent. Detachment exposes what emotions once blinded. Before, he couldn't always tell the difference. His loyalty made him patient, his empathy made him forgiving, and his drive made him too busy to notice who was silently draining him. But when he detaches, the fog clears. He starts to see patterns. How certain people only appear when they need something. How conversations only flow when they revolve around others. How support often disappears the moment he sets boundaries through stillness. He learns what energy truly feels reciprocal and what was disguised dependency all along. This process is uncomfortable at first. Watching people fade after he stops giving is painful, but also liberating. Because for the Sigma, clarity is worth more than company. He realizes that detachment doesn't distance him from people, it distances him from illusion. The silence he creates becomes a filter, separating those who are aligned with his peace from those addicted to his energy. As the noise fades, his world grows smaller but sharper. Every person who remains becomes a reflection of authenticity. The Sigma begins to value presence over popularity, depth over frequency, loyalty over comfort. His circle tightens, but his focus expands. He's no longer drained, he's recharged. Because when he detaches, he doesn't lose people, he loses distractions. And what remains after the noise settles is truth. The Sigma male finally sees that not everyone who clapped for him wanted him to win, and not everyone who left was a loss. Detachment isn't loneliness, it's clarity. It's how he separates the real from the draining, the genuine from the convenient, and the loyal from the leeches. He stops explaining himself and starts moving with quiet purpose. There comes a moment when the Sigma male realizes that words have lost their meaning, not because he can't articulate himself, but because most people never listened to understand him in the first place. They listened to reply, to judge, to twist, to misunderstand. For years, he tried to explain his silence, his distance, his vision, but every explanation drained him a little more, forcing him to justify what didn't need justification. Then, one day, he simply stops. No announcement, no warning, just stillness. He stops talking about what he's going to do and starts doing it. This shift is subtle but powerful. The people around him feel it immediately. The man who once shared his thoughts now speaks only through action. The one who used to give others reassurance now gives none. His focus sharpens, his energy becomes precise. Every step he takes has intention behind it. Deliberate, strategic, unstoppable. He doesn't need validation or applause anymore. He's moved past the stage of explaining his purpose. He's too busy living it. And that silence, it unsettles people. Those who relied on his predictability now find him unreadable. Those who thrived on his emotional availability can no longer access it. His calm feels different, heavier, colder, yet strangely magnetic. Because when a Sigma male stops explaining, it's not arrogance, it's mastery. It means he's no longer seeking permission to be who he is. He's detached from approval, from misunderstanding, from the noise that used to pull him off course. Every decision now comes from clarity, not emotion. Every move he makes builds momentum, not conversation. He no longer wastes breath, defending his character to those who never saw it. He lets time do the talking. People may doubt him, question him, or underestimate him, but he doesn't correct them. He lets results become his only language. Because that's what happens when a Sigma male moves with quiet purpose. He becomes impossible to distract. His power no longer comes from being heard, but from being focused. And while others talk about their plans, he's already executing his next 10 moves in silence. He doesn't explain his path, he embodies it. And that silence, that precision, is where his transformation truly begins. Solitude becomes his training ground for self-mastery. When the Sigma male detaches, solitude stops feeling like isolation. It becomes transformation. The quiet that once felt heavy turns into his sharpest weapon. In that silence, he starts rebuilding himself piece by piece. He studies his emotions, his reactions, his weaknesses. He faces every flaw without distraction, every wound without escape. There are no voices to validate him, no noise to drown him, just raw self-awareness. It's in that solitude that he learns discipline. He learns to control his thoughts, master his impulses, and turn loneliness into focus. While others depend on constant stimulation, the Sigma thrives in the void. He wakes early when no one's watching. He reads, trains, plans, and refines his mindset. Every minute spent alone becomes a silent investment in dominance, mental, emotional, and spiritual. He no longer seeks energy from the outside world. He generates it from within. The solitude that once looked like retreat now becomes his forge. Each day he sheds distraction, insecurity, and weakness, emerging sharper, calmer, and more certain of who he is. In solitude, he sees life clearly. He no longer moves out of reaction, but out of design. He learns that mastery isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering the self so completely that no one else can control you. The more time he spends alone, the less validation he needs. He begins to find satisfaction not in recognition, but in quiet progress. His standards rise, his emotions stabilize, his purpose intensifies. And when he finally steps back into the world, people can feel it. His presence hits differently. He speaks less, but with authority. He moves slower, but with direction. His energy feels grounded, disciplined, untouchable. The same solitude that once looked like disappearance now looks like evolution. Because for the Sigma male, isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's where he strips away the noise and meets himself at full power. It's where he transforms distraction into focus, pain into clarity, and time into growth. Alone, he becomes unstoppable. Not because he's cut off from the world, but because he's mastered the only thing that truly matters, himself. His emotions no longer control him, discipline does. The Sigma male strength doesn't come from suppressing emotion. It comes from mastering it. For most of his life, he felt deeply, but kept it hidden. Every betrayal, every setback, every disappointment carved new layers into his mind. But instead of letting those emotions dictate his direction, he learns to use them as data, feedback, not fuel. The moment he realizes that feelings can either guide him or govern him, he chooses control, and that choice marks the true beginning of his transformation. When emotions once triggered reaction, discipline now triggers movement. Anger no longer erupts, it sharpens his focus. Sadness no longer slows him down, it deepens his resilience. Even desire no longer blinds him, it becomes motivation filtered through logic. The Sigma male understands that emotional control doesn't mean detachment from feeling. It means never allowing temporary emotions to sabotage permanent goals. Every day becomes a test. He trains his mind to resist impulse, to delay gratification, to act from intention rather than instinct. He stops chasing comfort and begins chasing control. Control over his routines, his reactions, his energy. The same emotions that once distracted him now serve as signals, pointing him toward what still needs discipline. When frustration rises, he breathes. When temptation appears, he waits. When pain hits, he channels it into progress. His life becomes a quiet war against the easy path. And he wins it, one calm decision at a time. People around him sense the difference. His energy feels unshakable, his presence steady. Chaos no longer moves him. He moves through it. The world can provoke him, insult him, doubt him, but nothing pulls him off course anymore. His calm becomes intimidating because it's not emptiness, it's command. In this state, the Sigma male no longer seeks control over others, only over himself. That's where real power lies, because when emotion screams and discipline answers, greatness begins. He's not emotionless, he's emotionally trained, and once discipline becomes his compass, no mood, no manipulation, and no momentary weakness can steer him away from his mission again. His new, calm presence intimidates those who once underestimated him. When the Sigma male reemerges after his transformation, the world senses it immediately, not because he's louder, but because he's quieter. His calm no longer feels passive, it carries weight. The same people who once dismissed him now hesitate when he enters the room. His energy has shifted. No arrogance, no aggression, just an unshakable confidence that demands respect without saying a word. This calm isn't the absence of emotion. It's the presence of control. It's what happens when a man learns to master himself so completely that chaos can't touch him anymore. Before, people mistook his silence for weakness. They saw his patience as softness, his detachment as disinterest. They thought he could be provoked, manipulated, or underestimated without consequence. But now, that calm smile, that slow tone, that measured stare, it all unsettles them. Because behind that stillness is someone who's seen through every game, every ego, every illusion. He no longer needs to prove his intelligence or his worth. His energy speaks for him. His peace is his power. This new version of him doesn't react to insults, doesn't chase validation, doesn't flinch under pressure. When others raise their voices, he lowers his. When they push, he doesn't resist. He observes, lets them reveal themselves, and acts only when it truly matters. His composure becomes a mirror, exposing everyone else's lack of it, and that's why it's intimidating. Not because he's trying to dominate, but because he's completely unmoved by the things that control everyone else. People who once overlooked him now find themselves uneasy in his presence. They can't read him, can't predict him, can't manipulate him. His calm makes them question their own chaos. His silence makes them talk too much. His stillness exposes their insecurity. The Sigma male has become the kind of man whose power isn't announced, it's felt. Because true dominance doesn't roar, it resonates. And when the Sigma reaches this level of calm, he no longer competes for respect. He commands it. His presence doesn't need explanation or defense. It's the quiet authority of a man who has faced himself and won. After detachment, he evolves, wiser, sharper, and completely untouchable. When the Sigma male detaches, he doesn't return as the same man. The version that reemerges is unrecognizable, refined by silence, sharpened by solitude, and guided by absolute clarity. The chaos that once distracted him now fuels him. The emotions that once clouded his focus have become his compass. He no longer chases approval, attention, or validation. Everything external has lost its pull because he's built an inner world stronger than anything around him. His energy feels different now, calm but commanding. People sense it before he even speaks. His eyes no longer seek connection. They measure it. His words are few but deliberate. Every move he makes carries intent. This is not arrogance. It's awareness. He's learned that power isn't about control over others, it's about control over self. He's learned that detachment isn't running away from emotion, it's mastering it so completely that no one can use it against him again. The Sigma male becomes strategic where he was once reactive, patient where he was once restless, and focused where he was once distracted. He doesn't waste time trying to change people. He studies them, learns their patterns, and decides who deserves access. His world becomes smaller, but his influence grows. Because the moment he stopped needing anyone, he became the one everyone starts to notice. People who once underestimated him can feel the difference. They can't manipulate him, can't predict him, can't unsettle him. His energy is unreadable. Too calm to provoke, too confident to challenge. The same silence that once made him misunderstood now makes him magnetic. He's no longer trying to fit in. He's mastering the art of standing alone. This is the Sigma in his final form. Detached, yet deeply aware. Calm, yet impossibly focused. He no longer needs to explain his purpose because he embodies it. Every lesson, every wound, every failure has been turned into fuel for evolution, and now nothing can touch him. Not rejection, not chaos, not fear. Because once a Sigma male detaches and evolves, he stops existing within the world's noise and starts operating above it. When a Sigma male detaches, it's not a withdrawal, it's a rebirth. He steps away from noise to rebuild in silence, returning with focus that can't be shaken, and peace that can't be stolen. His power no longer depends on being understood or accepted. It comes from knowing who he is, what he wants, and what he'll never tolerate again. The world calls it coldness, but it's actually control. It's the point where emotion becomes strategy and solitude becomes strength. He's not running from the world anymore. He's operating above it. He's mastered himself, and that mastery makes him impossible to manipulate, impossible to distract, and impossible to stop. That's what true evolution looks like. Stillness on the outside, fire within. If this message resonates with you, if you've ever pulled back from chaos to find your purpose, then you already know what it means to move in silence and rise with clarity. Before you go, subscribe to Ultra Wise, where Sigma minds evolve daily through discipline, detachment, and self-mastery. And tell me in the comments, when did you realize your silence was the beginning of your transformation?